welcome to the FlyForm podcast again, Damien. Got you back. Different topic today, so we're not talking about business. We're going to talk about some personal stuff. So obviously, the focus of today's conversation is around mental health and those kind of things, but for a very personal reason for yourself. So do you want to tell us about what you're doing and why, and what kind of events have happened for you recently, and tell us a bit about what's been going on?
Yeah, sure. You know, you and I are both big advocates for mental health and mental well-being. You know, a few weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, I had a tragedy in my family. My brother very sadly took his own life.
Yeah.
And he had suffered with anxiety and depression. And you and I are friends. I know that you've had your own challenges with mental health, and we thought it'd be a good thing for us two to get together today so we can promote good mental well-being and seeing what we can do as a collective partnership as friends and colleagues to raise awareness of mental health issues.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us. Obviously, being a really recent event, I can appreciate how hard that is. So, yeah, and you just touched on my experiences with it. So I've suffered for 15, 16 years now, at least, with anxiety. Obviously, now I've got diagnoses of autism and PDA, of ADHD, and most recently now they're talking about borderline personality disorder. So I seem to have a nice mix of every comorbid condition you can think of. And I share a hell of a lot on Instagram in particular, more than Facebook these days, on my stories every day with people about what I go through, and for multiple reasons. One, because the stigma needs to end and the awareness of it needs to end. And a lot of the big reason I share it is because a lot of people view me as being successful now, in quotes. And my message to them is, like, you can still have a hard life or these problems and struggle with this stuff and still go and achieve goals and dreams and things you want to do, you know? I still suffer, and I share it, I don't mind sharing it, that like suicidal thoughts and things have been a big part of my condition, you know? Even recently there's been issues around that for me. I get into these tailspins and I spiral, and I've had to do an awful lot of work to get out of that. So currently at the moment, I'm having therapy twice a week right now to try and dig into more issues. It's like an onion. You take a layer off, you kind of, okay, that's okay, and you get to the next layer, and it goes on and on. So it's very close to my heart. FlyForm actually, so we, through our charitable arm, pay for actually multiple people to have therapy that can't access it and stuff. So we're a big supporter of your cause, and we really want to help you, make this the best impact it can, and help that cause further. So obviously you've had this tragedy with your brother. What was the, that's obviously been a long-standing issue for him, and I assume that's had an impact on you and the family through that time. Has it been in other people in your family as well? Has this been kind of like an open thing you guys have discussed and over the years and battled? There
has been other issues within my wider family. I prefer not to go into too much details, but there are other family members that have also had issues, and that's why I'm very passionate. Obviously, it's very fresh, it's very raw. It's less than 6 weeks ago that we lost my brother, but it's made me more determined about, like you say, ending the stigma. We've seen a lot in the news. We've seen, high-profile stars like Caroline Flack as well. People need to realise that they can talk. There are tools and resources to help them. The stigma can end. You've said about therapy, which is great. That's getting professional counselling. But what about friends, colleagues, just talking, going and seeing family members, proactively reaching out and saying, hey, are you okay? And if you're not okay, do you want to talk about it over a coffee, a beer, over a vegan smoothie, right? It doesn't matter, right? It's more about being there for each other and about raising awareness and ending the stigma.
A lot of what I've seen shared recently as well has been around, rather than waiting for someone to come to you and say, I need to talk, actually going to people and saying, hey, check it in. Do you need to talk? How are you? Because, when people get into those dark spots, and I've been there, you don't reach out. Even though I know I got so many people I can talk to. So many people offer themselves to say to me, I'm always here, I love you to pieces, all this kind of stuff. But when you get into that really dark space, something, a switch goes and you shut down and you think, not doing it,
And it's something that I've experienced secondhand, I count myself very fortunate not to have been diagnosed with any mental health conditions, but having been there as a supporter for my brother, having had many, many lengthy conversations, And I don't mind being completely honest and saying some of those were very draining.
Yeah, they are.
You know, I would have a very long conversation with my brother, and I'd come away from that conversation, putting the phone down, feeling emotionally drained, because it does have an impact not only on the person with the issues, but on their support base. So, you know, things like loved ones, siblings, parents, etc. There's an indirect impact as well. And that's why, again, you know, with your support, I'm very passionate about raising awareness. How can we support those individuals, their wider support base, so that we're all in this together?
There's a lot of great stuff I'm seeing kind of locally and nationally now as well, with people spinning up groups specifically around talking in the way you just said. So there's one fantastic group run by a girl called Jessica, who I'm friends with, called Run Talk Run. I think it's on Instagram at Run Talk Run. And for example, their whole ethos is they go jogging, but they jog. It's not about a time on a 5K. They're jogging and talking. So they're just having a run, getting outside, some exercise, but also sharing whatever's going on with them. And that's started to spring up now across all the cities around it. Even some international ones have sprung up. There's another group in Bristol, which I forgot the name of, but it's guys walking their dogs. So it's kind of like the guy with the dog kind of group. And again, they're walking, they're talking. And I think there's one called Talk Club in Bristol. So it's nice to see. And that, again, that's quite
common theme
men.
Phil. Talk.
And
it's really important, like we are now. But it doesn't matter what the environment is, whether it's running, walking a dog, sat here in the studio at FlyForm HQ. I think talking is really, really important. And again, it's not a gender thing either, but for men in particular, I think historically men have suffered with you know, coming out with their feelings and being emotional. Again, there seems to be a stigma about you know, guys talking about their problems. And I particularly, for one, would like to end that stigma. It's okay for guys to talk. And if you want to have a cry, you want to pick up a piece of tissue, you want a mate to give you a hug, you know, I think that's okay.
It's definitely excuse me. It's definitely something that affects males much, much more, you know, regardless of the whole gender topics, because of cultural norms. And I think when you see it with women, because obviously, you know, statistics for men and suicide, they're far higher, and especially under 35 and these kind of things. I'm suffering with it with my two sons. I got two sons. My 15-year-old is very masculine, and he will openly say to me, men don't talk about their feelings. And I've had to say to him, no, we do. Like, how can you live in a house with me and think that, you know? But that's what the peer groups around the school still promoting in a lot of cases, you know? And I think when they dissect why, you know, they see that women, like I say, they will cry in front of their friends. They'll have a hug. They'll openly talk about those feelings and emotion, even down to the fact they go to the hairdressers and talk about it there, and go and have their nails done. They talk about it there. As you can see,
Phil, I don't know. I'm married to a hairdresser. My wife is a hairdresser, which is perhaps a little ironic.
I'll lend you some of mine.
But again, like you say, talking, getting it off our chest, having a way to channel our feelings. And for me in particular, being quite selfish at the moment, you taking the time to speak to me today is enormously helpful for me. Whether or not I have any mental health issues, it's helping me channel my grief. And thank you for giving me the opportunity.
No, like I said, the honour's mine. So obviously you've been through these events and lots we can talk about around that. But now you've focused yourself on doing something to help forward the cause, really. So do you want to tell us a bit about what you're doing and what that looks like?
Like I say, I want to raise awareness of mental health, and I would like to help fundraise for a good cause. And you know, me and my family have chosen Mind, the mental health charity, so that we can fundraise for Mind. You know, it's my personal goal to become an ambassador to end the stigma and to promote the good work that Mind do. And ultimately, if we can raise funds for them and they can provide the tools and resources to hopefully prevent another tragedy like my brother went through, if we can reduce the risk of suicide among males, then for me, that would be a great legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you said, you know, even if you help one person, like, that's such a massive impact, isn't it? You know, the impact to the world that has, and I'm sure it'll impact a lot more people than that, but even just helping one person is worth it. Like, as I said earlier, I share a lot on social media about what I go through. And a lot of times people will say to me, God, why do you do that? Like, you worried, it's very vulnerable.
It's an outlet, right?
It's an outlet for me, but also, like, I get people messaging me, like, there's one particular guy recently I've spoken to people about who, he reached out because I spoke at a large event in the US on my battles with substance abuse and mental health. And this guy messaged me and said, so I don't know him, he found me on Instagram and messaged and said, I heard you speak, it was really powerful. He's currently still abusing certain prescription drugs and this, that, the other. And the reason he's doing it is because his wife's got stage 4 cancer and he's got 2 kids and a business. And for me, just the impact of being able to talk that guy through what he's going through and get him into therapy and this kind of stuff is huge. You know, I think we all underestimate the impact we can have just by talking and just by sharing. So
that's just one example. And think of the many other cases that we can touch by talking.
Exactly.
That's great.
So you chose a Mind for your charity, which is a great charity.
I know you're a big supporter as well.
Yeah, we're a big supporter on SJ here.
Yeah.
So she's doing 3 events this year, and she did one last year. So she's a big proponent. We've got such an open culture here with our mental health, which, because I'm so open with it with people for that reason. Even we've had a member of staff recently, one day they were a little bit off colour, you know, and they felt they were safe enough here to go on Slack and post and say, hey guys, I know you all feel like you could see I'm maybe a little bit different today. My anxiety's right up. I'm going through some stuff at home. And that was a really kind of proud, but more just a moment of happiness for me to see that they feel so safe that they can publish to the whole company that they're suffering.
It's wonderful. The culture you've promoted here at FlyForm, I'm so lucky at ServiceNow, the level of support we have from my colleagues and from our leadership team. You know, our Chief Talent Officer, Pat Wadders, is such an ambassador for good well-being, you know, physical and mental well-being, and the support and tools and resources. I can't thank Pat and ServiceNow enough. It's
so important, isn't it, in the workplace these days to bring that in, and, you know, the more we can change it there, reduce the stigma, get people talking, like you say, it should have, hopefully we'll see that positive uplift. So you're going to raise some money for Mind. So what are you doing to raise that? What kind of events you've got lined up?
I'm going to have an attempt, or I should say another attempt, at the 3 Peaks Challenge.
Yeah. Great. So and when are you doing that?
I'm going to do it in September this year, which will be 6 months after we lost my brother. But more importantly, nearly 10 years after I last had an attempt at it.
Tell us about that. I know part of the story, but I want to hear it
again.
Phil,
you know the story. But nearly 10 years ago, I was part of another charity team who attempted the 3 Peaks Challenge. For anyone who doesn't know, you can Google 3 Peaks. You attempt to climb the highest peaks in England, Scotland and Wales and do it in a 24-hour period.
Okay.
So it does involve about 23 miles of hiking, you know, over 10,000 feet of ascent and 400 plus miles of driving between Ben Nevis in Scotland, Scafell Pike in the Lake District and Snowdon in northern Wales. And rather famously or infamously, I was part of a charity team for another cause nearly 10 years ago. We famously climbed the wrong mountain.
Brilliant. And what was the impact of that?
Well, the impact is we clearly hadn't done
rescued?
Our research. No, we weren't rescued. That was exaggerated. We did make a phone call to Mountain Rescue at one point. 2 of our climbers got lost, and we mistook Ben Nevis for stuff. I know. If you Google Damien Davis 3 Peaks, you'll find a whole hell. We made national headlines. I was featured on Have I Got News For You? The story went viral. We raised a ton of cash for a cancer charity. And ultimately it resulted in good media, good profile, and, you know, who knows, if we'd done a successful challenge, maybe we would never have raised as much money. We did it in memory of a friend of mine who we very sadly lost to leukemia 10 years ago. But my friend's mum said that the story helped her laugh, helped her deal with her grief. We raised a ton of cash in her son's memory, and she actually nominated me to be an Olympic torchbearer the following year. So in 2012, I proudly carried the Olympic torch.
That's awesome. Well deserved as well. That sounds like it's a good. You'll never live that down now.
I'll never live it down.
The age of the internet is going to be there forever.
Exactly. But part of the reason I wanted to do this now in memory of my own brother again is now I've always wanted to redo the 3 Peaks, to do it successfully. I've never successfully completed the challenge. And I was chatting to some friends and they said, you know what, you want to raise some money for Mind, you want to do it for your brother, why don't you have another go at the 3 Peaks? They said, you know, hopefully in the age of the internet, people will remember what you did before. It will attract interest, support. And actually already I've been overwhelmed. We've raised nearly £6,000 already. We only spun up the Just Giving page like a week ago. And I've had dozens, and I literally mean dozens of offers of people who want to come and do the challenge with me. Initially, I envisaged a small team in a minibus, but now, who knows, we may need 2 or 3 teams because I've just been overwhelmed and inundated with offers of support. mainly from people who can read maps.
Always a benefit. Do you need them these days with GPS? Can you just sat nav it up there with your phone, or does it not work like that?
Well, the thing is, in the mountains, and some of my US colleagues dispute the fact that there are even mountains, but there isn't great satellite coverage. So actually, you do need good orienteering skills, which we learned the hard way.
Well, I did my Duke of Edinburgh Bronze Award, but it was a distant memory now.
Does that mean you're going to join a team? You're going to go public on the FlyForm?
I'll join the team. No problem. I'll come along. I'd love to do that.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, awesome. So how can people find and donate? What do you know? If you've got a set URL people can go to, or should we throw it into the?
We've got a Just Giving page. I'm sure we can edit the link into
we'll
the
throw
Just
it in
Giving
here.
page.
Cool.
That'd be amazing.
And we'll push it out on all our channels. So I got about 23,000 Instagram followers. So if everyone can give a quid, if they're listening, then that'd be a nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that would be a nice big boost to the coffers. So
it would mean a lot to me. It would mean a lot to my family. But most importantly for us as friends, just to promote the mental health well-being among our friends, family and loved ones.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for coming to share your story.
Thanks, Phil.
Like I said, we're behind you and we're going to support you all the way, and I think it's a great cause, and we got to keep pushing this for everyone's sake, really. It's going away.
Thanks for your support.
Anytime. Glad to have you here. Thanks, mate.